So getting right down to it, Bobby, why do you think that most men, especially in their 40s, have such a hard time losing fat?
Honestly, I think it's psychological. I think it's the fact that most men that we deal with in their 40s, they still believe they can fight in the UFC. They still believe they can play in the NFL. They still believe because they bench pressed 3 plates in high school, which they never did, they're still strong. And I think when it comes down to it, they think they can still behave like they did in their 20s, that they can drink every day, they can eat bad food, that they can miss a week of working out, and it's not going to affect them that much. And so I think that this behavioral pattern, it influences their choices across the board, and they don't understand how hard it is to lose fat in your 40s versus your 20s. And that's why they never do it. They talk about it a lot, but they don't get down to do it and make it happen.
All right. So what are the big mistakes? What can we fix? How can we get these guys to redirect their delusion?
So the big thing I want to address first, and I suppose we could put this into a category like liquid calories. This would be part of it. Drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of people have a relationship with alcohol. And I want to be clear. I don't abstain. I will enjoy the alcoholic beverage once in a while, but I'm not drunk Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, maybe you're watching this and say, well, neither am I. I never get drunk. But how many alcoholic beverages do you consume daily? How many do you consume a year? Stats say that the average American has 636 per year. What does that mean? 2 a day. Do you have 2 drinks a day? And if you were thinking back on this, Joe, and you are the guy who's had 2 drinks a day, you'd never be drunk. Like if you came home from work and cracked a beer, and then you had a beer before bed, a beer while watching the basketball playoffs or football game or like whatever you did, you had a few on Saturday, you had a few on Sunday. Like you would never be drunk, but you would hit that 636 drink count just based on calories. I'm going to get my calculator out here. You're
talking to a guy who grew up in Wisconsin, man. Like two beer a day, like that's it. Those are rookie numbers.
So let's say you're having 636 beer a year, and it's 100 extra calories per drink. And I'm going low with that. Like you're drinking like a Michelob Ultra or whatever.
Yep.
That's 63,600 calories. Divided by 3,600, there's 17.6 extra pounds of fat. You ever see what a pound of fat looks like?
Yeah.
Like you take that off your gut, you were doing way better. And I haven't even mentioned the hormonal stuff that causes, bad food choices that go along with beer.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
Right?
You know, it's not just the beer, it's the pretzels and the salty snacks that go along with it. It compounds the whole thing.
So that'll start to add. And we're just talking about drinking. The next question is, how much Gatorade have you drank during the last year, right? Because that kind of goes into the same category. It's a liquid like a liquid sugar that just goes down the pipe. How much soda did you drink last year?
Yeah, that's a big one for most Americans too. You know, the big gulps with their swamp water.
And we talk about the average American drinking 636, alcoholic beverages a year. But I'm gonna actually look this up right now. How much soda does the average American drink?
Here's a hint. It's a lot.
Okay, 45 gallons a year.
Wow. That is a lot.
That's a ton, Joe.
Yeah.
So now you add, we're talking average alcohol beverages, we're talking average Gatorades, we're talking average sodas, we're talking average like glasses of orange juice. Not that fresh squeezed orange juice is bad, but are you drinking Fanta or Sunny?
Well, regardless, even if you're having fresh squeeze, you'd be better off eating the orange.
Yeah. So the liquid calories thing, and I put drinking right at the forefront of that. But how many calories are you drinking throughout the year? Even when you go to something like Jumbo Juice, and I love a good Jumbo Juice every now and then, Joe, but some of their shakes are 1,000 calories, and you suck it down, and you're hungry 2 minutes later.
Well, there's a whole industry of like weight loss shakes, and it's the same phenomena. And there's like that's a great example, but there's also shops that do like protein drinks where you'll come in like post-workout and then you'll slam 1,000 calories without thinking twice because, you need your protein post-workout.
And by the way, that's a very bro thing to do. I was actually watching, I don't know if you watched the new season of White Lotus, but the character that Patrick Schwarzenegger plays, he plays the prototypical bro, right? He's a finance bro. And he's misogynistic. He's a goofball. He's obsessed with, like, he's exactly the character, you know what he reminds me of? Stifler from American Pie. Like, he is that prototypical finance jock, if you will. But there's like scenes in this movie where he's constantly making protein shakes. Like every morning when he wakes up, he's making a protein shake. And his younger brother, who's skinny, not that fit, you know, a bit of a nerd, struggles with identity, he's constantly on him like, you need a shake, you need a shake, you need a shake. And I say that because it is such a bro thing to do. Like when you're done working out, you almost have like a magnetic attraction to a blender that you've got to make your big protein shake, and you're putting all the eggs in there, and you're putting the ice cream, and you're putting in
it's regardless of your goals. It's like if you're trying to lose fat, there's as much pressure on you to have a post-workout shake as if you're trying to gain muscle. Those are two different things.
Very different things, but you're taught, like as a bro, you're going to go make that shake. And again, if you have to have restricted calories, can you afford to have them via liquid? And I would say, if you get rid of all liquid calories completely, like what are you allowed? You're allowed tea, you're allowed coffee, you're allowed water. And when I say coffee or tea, you're not allowed all the mixings in it, right? Like you got to drink it straight. If that's what you did, you'd be golden.
Yeah.
But that's
not again, if you just traded beer for coffee, that's 17 pounds in a year right there.
Oh, yeah.
Without any of the additional stuff that we talked about.
Enormous. So don't drink your calories, Joe. That's number one.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of cutting calories, how about cutting calories too low? People want to go on a starvation diet and they can't stick with it.
So a couple things happen with that. Number one, you're going to crack. Like you do not have the willpower. Listen, if you're sitting, and I'm a big believer in behavioral science. If you're sitting there watching this and you're 17 pounds overweight, you're 20 pounds overweight, you're 30 pounds overweight, you're 40 pounds overweight, you probably don't have the willpower to crash diet for a long period of time. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this shape in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
Like you lack real discipline, and you're eating that way because it's comfortable. You're watching the football or the basketball game and you're reaching in that bag of chips because it is comfortable. And now I'm going to ask you to be not just kind of uncomfortable, but mega uncomfortable for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. You're not going to do it. So cutting your calories too deep, you might be successful for a week. You might be successful for 2 weeks. But when you break, you're not going to kind of break. You're going to fall off the bus. It's going to run over you. You're going to get spit out the back, and you're going to be eating everything in sight. But again, Joe, and I'm going to get my calculator, it comes down to a math problem. So this works the other way too. Let's say your basal metabolic rate is 2,500 calories a day. So you're allowed 2,500 calories, right? So let's say you cut 300 a day, just a mere 300. Remember, we're talking about the drinking example of how it can influence you, right? So you cut 300 a day, and you do that for 180 days. So 180 times 300. That's 54,000 calories, Joe, just cutting 300. You divide that by 3,600. Well, there's 15 pounds of fat. So now add those together. You don't have the booze, you don't have that. And then you do this. Now you're down like 30, 40 pounds in 6 months. Like that's how you do it. But that's only 300 calories. You're cutting from 2,500 to 2,200. That to me is completely manageable. Basically, what you're doing is you're having one less snack a day.
Exactly.
When you sit down, you don't have 10 ounces of ribeye, you have 6 or 7 ounces of ribeye. Like you're not making a big sacrifice. The mistake we're talking about is you decide you're all in and you're going to go down to 12 to 1,400 a day, even like 1,600, and you're going to try to do that for months and months and months on end. You're not going to survive.
No, and you're going to feel it too. Like your whole life is going to change because of that energy imbalance.
Yeah. I even talked about this. It's
not going to be pleasant.
I was talking about this on my live the other night. The number I give people is 1,800. But 1,800 still implies you're super committed and disciplined, because that's not easy, right? Like you've been doing that. 1,800 is not, that's a struggle on its own. And that's not 1,200 to 1,300, but even 1,800 implies you are ultra committed. Like, that's tough, and it's going to get tough on certain days. So don't go super low. I'd figure out what your BMR is. You can find it online. It's a super easy calculator to use. And I'd cut by like 300 a day, and I would see how you feel, and I would go from there.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of cutting, I mean, the mistake of just cutting out an entire food group, or cutting only one food group, like going, I've never dieted before, but now I want to go full-blown carnivore for 6 months and just cut everything out. I think it has a similar effect of, like, you might be good for a week, maybe 2, but if you cut all the carbs out of your diet for a month, and then you get just a little bit of taste of that sugar, man, it's like a shark smelling blood in the water.
But this isn't, I don't know if you saw this the other day, Joe. I put up a post about, it was a picture of my shirt off. It was a bit of a thirst trap picture. It was actually in a towel in the mirror, right, before I got in the shower. And I said that it's weird that I ate pizza and ice cream yesterday, but I woke up looking exactly the same. And the point was, you can have fun on whatever holiday you celebrate. Memorial Day, July the 4th, Labor Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Drives me nuts when people say Thanksgiving made them fat. It wasn't one day.
One day,
right?
Yeah.
It's a series of behaviors over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. When you say you demonize that food group, you go out with the kids to Culver's on Friday night, that's not going to kill you.
Right.
The next Friday, you go have a couple slices of pizza, that's not going to kill you. Every Sunday, that's the bodybuilding lifestyle. You have a cheat day. That's not going to kill you. In fact, you could make the argument that the cheat day helps you stay psychologically balanced because you actually had a food that you love. That's why bodybuilders don't do that. It's not that it shocks your metabolism. It's not that it like changes how you burn calories. It's simply, it keeps you sane so you can diet hard during the week. You don't have to throw away any food group, period. You just have to have some semblance of responsibility. So let's look over how that looks. I have a little piece of paper here so I don't get my math wrong, Joe.
All right.
Every Friday night, I eat pizza with the kids. Mm-hmm. There's a place in town, I've talked to you about it before, Pizza Tasso. I'm not eating Little Caesars. I'm not eating Domino's. It's a really homemade pizza. They use 00 milled flour imported from Italy. They have an Italian bakery, make their sausage and make their, like, it's unreal, Joe. Okay. That pizza, I figure, is somewhere between 1,200 and 1,400 calories. So on that day, when I go eat the pizza, because it's important for me to stay lean, I like to pretend that I'm the big guy. I can eat whatever I want. I'm in mass gain season. I can bulk. I'm having 9 million calories a day. But I watch more than I think I do. Mm-hmm. When I go for that pizza on Friday night, my breakfast is coffee, cinnamon, and protein powder and ice.
Yeah.
Cold coffee, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't put the ice in, but I make like a little delicious Starbucks drink, and that's 120 calories. And I know you drink those all the time. And then my lunch is another 120 calorie shake. I have that around noon. So now I've had 2 shakes. On a normal day, Joe, I might have a more substantial meal right after that second shake. But when I go for the pizza, I don't have that substantial meal. Maybe I have a third coffee and protein shake, or I have just a little snack, like 4 ounces of chicken, 4 ounces of beef, like 4 ounces, whatever. So that when I added my total calories up today, despite the fact I ate that whole pizza, I'm still at whatever I'm at for the day, 1,800, 2,200, 2,300.
At least real close. Like the damage done is going to be minimal.
I'm still close.
That's like front loading. You could do it afterwards. Like if you go out on like a Friday night, then you know Saturday you just can't go broke. Like you got to sort of do the same thing the day after, and you can still kind of absorb that extra hit.
It's exactly it, because it's going to be calories over time. Like you can even go over a week, Joe. Like if you were allowed 1,800 calories a day, you went 1,800 times 7, You're allowed that in the course of the week. You get it however you want to get it. Like it's the law of thermodynamics. It's science. The problem is when you can't control yourself for breakfast and you have the 4 eggs and the avocado and the healthy coconut because you were told that avocado is healthy and coconut's healthy and you got to eat egg yolks. And then for lunch, you had white rice and you had chicken and you had, because that's the meal of bodybuilders and you needed your gains. And then you worked out, then you slammed down a 500 or 800 or 1,000 calorie protein shake and then you drank that. Then you go for the pizza. That's what the problem is. It wasn't the pizza.
That actually reminds me of another really common issue that I've seen, and that's this like chasing fads, right? Like on the one hand, you have to cut everything out of your diet, but then you have to include more avocado, and then you have to have your acai berry shakes later. And then, you have to do this kind of workout and not that kind of workout, but then I have to eat this, but not that. And like trying to chase all of this stuff, like you're not following any one path at all. You're just it's garbage. Like everything sort of undoes everything in the end.
So would I prefer you to have clean, healthy food like an avocado, like an Aussie? Absolutely. Like that's probably better. Would I like you to have the pizza I'm talking about versus the Little Caesars? Absolutely. But just know that you can have a treat once in a while. You just have to be responsible for it. You want to go to Culver's with the kids. You want to go to Shake Shack. You want to go to Smash Burger, you want to go to McDonald's, like I'm fine with it, but you have to monitor what you're going to put in your body. And by the way, we're only talking about calories right now. We're not talking about health, because the next thing I was going to bring up, Joe, a McDouble at McDonald's is only like 350 calories. You can like eat responsibly to a degree at McDonald's. Now you're not having the fries. You're not having the soda.
No Shamrock Shake.
Right? Yeah. You can have a couple of McDoubles and you're okay. Not from a health perspective, but from a calorie perspective. Again, you just got to be responsible on the other side.
Well, that kind of falls back on what we said before of just like vilifying certain foods. It's not like McDonald's isn't the reason you get fat. And something you just said that really kind of resonated with me here is the treat. If you're going to do that as a treat, that's fine. But if you have a treat every day at the same time, it's not a treat. That's a regular meal.
No. And again, it wasn't like when you say McDonald's, it wasn't the McDonald's that made you fat.
Yeah.
It was the McDonald's plus the beer, plus the pizza, plus the whatever, plus the tacos, plus the avocado over a long period of time. Like I would argue if I went to eat at McDonald's tonight, I wouldn't really look any different tomorrow. Right. Yeah, maybe I'd have
I would argue that if you went to McDonald's and you had the burger and you had the fries and you had the full sugar Coke, that you would feel like crap the next day.
Oh, I'd feel bad tomorrow, but I don't think I'd look any different. I mean, maybe on a high-end photo shoot, I would look a little more bloated or something like that. But like, I don't think
Isn't that the old before and after photo trick?
Yep.
It's like to just get shredded, take your after picture, and then just like slam a 2 liter of Coke,
slam
and then
a
take
bunch.
the before picture.
You know what I mean? But like, I don't think I would look that much different. Like, I'll tell you, I have this pizza every Friday night. I don't wake up Saturday fat.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that did me in. So you don't have to vilify a whole group of food.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then again, like I said, chasing every fad too. It's like, that even talks back to where we were talking about these huge calorie cuts of like things you can do in the short term, but the thing you're ignoring, the thing that you need, especially again, as you're into middle age, and these quick fixes aren't going to be as impactful. Like you've got to be consistent, and you got to pick a path, and you got to stay on it for a while. You got to give it 6 months, not 6 weeks, 6 months.
That goes back to that psychology thing we're talking about, Joe. Why do you think people look for fat? Because you thought this was going to be easy. You thought it was going to be like you did in your 20s. You thought you could just do whatever you want, and it didn't work, and you failed with guilt and fear and shame and all the things. You can't admit it because you're a man, and that's not what men do. So now you're going to try a fad, and you're going to build your whole identity around the carnivore diet. You're going to build your whole identity around being vegan. You're going to go carb-free. You're going to try a trick because believing in the magic of Christmas is easier, right, than admitting that you have a problem. Like you're just going to believe. And as long as you keep believing, you can look in the mirror and tell yourself anything you want.
Yeah. And well, that mentality applies not just to like food, but to like exercise as well. And this is where we end up in the like, if you're trying to lose weight, you do tons of cardio and don't ever lift weights. And if you're trying to bulk, then you lift weights, but you can't even touch a treadmill or you're going to lose all your gains, right?
Absolutely, Joe. I'm 6'3". So this morning I was weighing between 232 and 238. I know that seems like a big range, but for a guy my size, that's really not a big range. And it's dependent on how much salt I'm consuming, because some foods are saltier than others. Like, it's funny that Chipotle's, healthy fast food, but I will tell you, after eating Chipotle and drinking a bunch of water, I don't float during the night. Like, that tells you how much salt's in the food, right? But depending on how much salt I have, how many electrolytes I have, how much water I have, whether I'm doing jujitsu, whether I'm in the sauna for a long period of time or not, I will range in terms, but I'm always between the same thing, 232 and 238. I do more cardio than anyone. I shouldn't say than anyone. I'm not a marathon runner, but I do a lot of cardio in my training. I do a lot of conditioning in my training. I sit in the sauna 30 to 60 minutes a day. That counts as cardio to a degree. And I also do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu every day.
Yeah.
Despite that fact, like, I am the same height and weight as Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Like Alan Ritson on the Amazon show. So it's like, it's not like I'm walking around skinny from doing all this cardio. It's not going to hurt you as bad as you think. Now, on the other hand, you can argue that muscle's better for fat loss than cardio. For every extra pound of muscle you have on you, you burn 50 to 100 extra calories a day.
Yeah.
So do you need to do endless cardio? And at the end of the day, Joe, it's still a math equation. Yeah. What it comes down to is calories burned versus calories consumed.
Well, and again, if you're 30 pounds overweight, you've already consumed a ton of calories. So you need to be in the negative. So, like, ideally, I think you need to balance it on your intake, right? Like, nutrition should be the driver of fat loss. If you're trying to maintain a deficit, you do it through nutrition. And every really successful bodybuilder friend that I have, that's their perspective, is dial in the eating first. And then if you're going to do cardio, you're not doing cardio to try to get more lean. You're doing a little cardio so that you have more wiggle room in your diet, because it is just calories in and calories out.
Also because it's good for you, bro.
Yeah, well, and there's that too, right? Like, you want a good cardiovascular system, a good respiratory system. Like, go take a walk, do some light jogging. Like, cardio is the thing. Heart. Yeah.
But it's so hard. Like, how many calories did you burn during that weightlifting exercise? I don't know. How many calories did you burn during that CrossFit workout? I don't know. How many calories did you burn during that treadmill session? I don't know. Were you running on the treadmill? Were you talking? Were you walking? What was the temperature outside? Like, I don't even pay attention to that. I just want to get activity for the sake of being healthy. But at the root level, whether you burn 300 calories doing weights or burn 300 calories doing cardio, it's still a burn. Like, you're still creating that deficit, so it doesn't matter.
Nice. So let's recap what we've covered so far. So we went over the liquid calories, right? We went over extreme calorie deficits. We went over vilifying entire food groups, which led us into chasing fads. And then finally this one, trying to either avoid or overdo cardio based on your goals.
Processing, we told you this before. We get a lot of comments on these podcasts about, like, you guys just tell us the straight truth. We've told you this before. What we're telling you right now is nothing revolutionary. And when it goes back to behavior, like, you watching this right now, when you open your beady little eyes and you look in the mirror in the morning and you hate the body that's looking back at you in that mirror, you know what you need to do to lose weight. Like, deep down, you know you're not that 21-year-old kid anymore. You're clinging to that. But if you were really honest with yourself. From Rocky,
that ain't us no more.
But it isn't you. Like some of these dads that talk to me at the sporting events, Joe, like, for my kids, like, I used to bench 3 plates. Like, I'm not rude about them. Like, oh man, you were strong. Like, I'm just nice. But, like, part of me wants to say, do you really believe you did that in high school? Do you really believe you can still do that? Do you really believe, like have an honest talk with them. Like, do you really think you're that guy still? Because the answer is no, but it's some form of, like, false bravado.
It's the Uncle Rico syndrome, right?
Right.
Okay, I better get throw a football over that mountain.
Yep. The guy that yells from the rooftops. I always laugh at these alpha cons that men try to go to. Do you know what I mean? I'm the man in the arena. It's alpha con. Wow. Here we go. But if you really, really, really got in touch with your inner child, you know you're not that person anymore, and you know what you want to do. You know what a healthy food and what a non-healthy food is. You know that drinking's not good for you. Like, you know the answers. The question is, are you going to do it or not? Or is it just easier to go for the fad? Is it just easier to really, really, really want to believe that the carnivore diet is going to change?
It's so much easier to believe anyone who's achieved it has cheated somehow, right?
Yep. And then,
like every Hollywood actor obviously knows a secret, used a drug, cheated. It can't possibly be that they spent 6 months dialed in and working with a trainer to get to where they were.
And the best part of that, Joe, is if you fall for a fad and you fail, it's the fad's fault.
Yep.
It's not yours. It's the fad. Well, this guy lied to me. This guy's a joke. This carnivore diet, this guy did, this is a lie. You can blame the fad. You don't have to blame your root behavior.
Yep.
So guys, you want to lose fat in your 40s. There's your ticket. There is your answer. And by the way, if you did this, if you just followed this base advice for 3 months, I'll bet most of you would drop 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Like just straight up. Like it's funny because it's harder than you think. It's going to take some sacrifice. You're going to have to eat well. You're going to have to work out every day. You're going to have to do all those things. But it also happens way faster and easier than you think too.
Yeah, especially in the beginning. Especially when you just start.
Like it's going to happen fast. Just keep your foot on the gas and do it. Thank you for watching another episode of the Maximus Podcast. Do us a favor, subscribe, turn your notifications on, and say hi in the comments below. Actually, let's do this, Joe. Let's play a game.
All right.
How much weight are you looking to lose? Write that number in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Buy your ticket. Be accountable. Let's hear from you.